Hello everyone, myself Sania Chauhan from Standard 10B and this is my geography project on the topic forest and wildlife resources. Primarily, I would like to thank our geography teacher Miss Seema whose valuable guidance has been the ones who helped me to complete this project and make it a foolproof success. I would also like to pay my heartfelt gratitude to our respected principal, Sister Mary, for providing us this golden opportunity. Our planet Earth is a home to millions of living beings, from microorganisms and bacteria, lichens to banyan trees, elephants and blue whales. There is a vast multitude of living organisms found on the earth. Sadly, the human beings today have transformed the nature and wildlife into a resource. We obtain different products directly and indirectly from the forest and wildlife, such as wood, leaves, rubber, medicine, fuel, fodder, manure, etc., which depleted our forest and wildlife. Now, forest. Forests are the large area covered by the trees, shrubs, herbs, woodland, etc., which grows without any human disturbance. Wildlife. Wildlife generally refers to undomesticated animal species. It includes all the animals who live wild in an area without being introduced by humans. Flora and fauna present in our country. Flora. Flora is a plant life occurring in a particular region or time, generally naturally occurring. The flora of India is one of the richest in the world due to the wide range of climate, topology, and habitat in the country. There are estimated to be over 16,000 species of flowering plant in India, which constitute some 6 to 7 part of the total plant species in the world. India is home to more than 45,000 species of plant, including a variety of endemics. Fauna. Fauna is an animal life occurring in a particular region or time. India is one of the mega diverse country, home to 7.6% of total mammalian. Their role in our ecosystem. Flora and fauna both are very important for the existence of human life. Flora. The flora liberates oxygen which is consumed by fauna for their respiratory activities. Fauna. The fauna in turn liberates carbon dioxide which is taken by the flora to perform process of photosynthesis. Flora and fauna hugely benefits mankind through its medicinal and food offerings. Forest cover in our country. The total forest cover of the country is 7,12,249 square kilometers. It means 21.67% of India's total geographical area. Nearly 25% of India's total land area is now under forest and tree cover. However, there is still a long way to go, more than a decade, admits the government, before India reaches its target of having 33% of its total area under forest and tree cover. In terms of area, Madhya Pradesh has the largest forest cover in the country, followed by Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Maharashtra. Classification of species based on IUCN, which is International Union for Conservation of Nature. It was established on 5 October 1948 in the French town. The first category is normal species. Normal species are the species whose population level considered normal for their survival, such as cattle, sal, pine, rodents, etc. Second category is endangered species. And endangered species are the species that is very likely to become extinct in the near future, either worldwide or in a particular political jurisdiction. Endangered species may be at a risk of being extinct due to the factors like habitat loss. For example, polar bear, red panda, etc. The third species is vulnerable species. Vulnerable species are the species which has been recognized by the International Union of Conservation of Nature as likely to become endangered unless the circumstances that are threatening its survival decreases and the reproduction of these species increase. Fourth category is rare species. Rare species are the group of organisms that are uncommon, scarce, or infrequently encountered. This designation may apply to either a plant or an animal taxon and is distinct from the term endangered or threatened. Fifth category is extinct species. These are the species which are not found after searches of known or likely areas where they may occur. A species may be extinct from a local area, region, country, continent, or the entire earth. Examples of such species are Asiatic cheetah, pink-head duck, golden toad. Sixth category is endemic species. Endemic species is one that is only found in that region and nowhere else in the world. As such, they are of conservation concern because they are not widespread and may be confined to only one or two protected areas. Classification of forest by the government. Forest Department has classified forest into three different types: reserve forest, protected forest, and unclassed forest. First type is reserved forest. Reserved forest in India are terms denoting forests accorded a certain degree of protection. The terms were first introduced in the Indian Forest Act 1927 in British India. A large number of forests which came under this jurisdiction of Government of India during the political integration. Unclassed forest. These are other forests and wastelands belonging to both government and private individuals and communities. All northeastern states and parts of Gujarat have a very high percentage of their forests as unclassed forest managed by local community. Protected forest. A protected forest is a forest with some amount of legal or constitutional protection, or where the habitat and resident species are legally accorded protection from further depletion. Protected forests of India were introduced in the Indian Forest Act 1927 in British India and were retained after Indian independence. The 17% if forests that are not included in the categories of reserved or protected forest are called unclassified forests. Now, causes of extinction or depletion of flora and fauna. First is human causes, which means the depletion caused by the certain human activities. First, transformation of nature into resources. The pollution caused by the humans leading to an acid rains. Human activities leading to global warming. Unregulated or illegal killing, hunting or poaching of fauna. Damage of forest during colonial period. Agricultural expansion. Large scale development projects and mining. Climatic change. Climate change is caused by a number of things. The effect that climate has on extinction is very big. The biodiverse earth can't keep up with the rapid change in the temperature and climate. The species are not used to serve weather conditions and long seasons, or a changing chemical makeup of their surroundings. As more species die, it is only making it more difficult for the survivors to find food. The warmer climate we are used to present day are perfect for disease and epidemics to thrive. Loss of habitat. Habitat loss is probably the greatest threat to the variety of life on this planet today. Habitat loss and degradation affect 86% of all threatened birds, 86% of mammals, and 88% of threatened amphibians. When a plant or an animal does not have a habitat and cannot adapt to a different environment, it will become extinct. Now, conservation of forest and wildlife resources. Necessity of conservation. Why it is necessary to conserve forest and wildlife resources. As we know that nature provides all the basic needs which are necessary to us, but we are overexploiting or overusing these resources. If we go on overexploiting the nature, there will be no more resources available in the future. So there is an urgent need to conserve the nature. Here are some needs. To maintain ecological balance for supporting life, to preserve different type of biodiversity, to preserve the natural resources for the present and future generation. Role of government in protecting forest and wildlife resources. So first I'm gonna talk about the Wild Protection Act. This is an act to provide protection for wild animals, birds and plants. This act was passed in the year 1972. The main object of the act is to prove protection to the wild animals, birds and plants. The act empowers the central government to declare certain areas as sanctuaries or national parks. The act prohibits hunting of wild animals, birds, etc. and impose punishment for violating the same. Second initiative taken by the government is Project Tiger. Project Tiger is a wildlife conservation project initiated in India in 1972 to protect the Bengal tiger. It was launched on 1st April 1973 and has become one of the most successful wildlife conservation ventures. Corbett National Park was the first national park in India to be covered under Project Tiger. Objectives of Project Tiger: first, to ensure maintenance of a viable population of the tiger in India for scientific, economic, aesthetic, cultural, and ecological values. Second, to preserve for all times areas of biological importance as a national heritage for the benefit, education, and enjoyment of the people. National parks. The national park in India help us to know the unknown treasures of wildlife hidden in the centuries all around India. India's first national park was Jim Corbett National Park, established in 1936. There are more than 166 authorized national parks in India till date. The forest and wildlife sanctuaries areas which fall on the borders of state are protected for security reasons. There are 5 major national parks which can help you to get a closer encounter of any kind of wildlife. Wildlife sanctuary is a naturally occurring sanctuary, such as an island that provides protection for species from hunting, predation, or competition. The sanctuaries are generally the safe havens where the resident animals are given the opportunity to behave as naturally as possible in a protective environment and maintaining each animal until his or her natural death. Wildlife sanctuaries in India. According to National Database Resource, there are 492 wildlife sanctuaries. It covers 11,06,992 square kilometer area. 217 sanctuaries are proposed. These are of national importance to conservation for endangered animal and bird. They are among the best tourist places in the country. One example of wildlife sanctuary is Sasan Gir National Park, which is situated in Gujarat. The animals which are found there are Asiatic lions, Indian leopard, sloth bears, Indian cobras, jungle cats, striped hyenas, golden jackals, Indian mongoose, and Indian palm civets. Joint Forest Management Act. First of all, what was the meaning of JFM? Joint forest management involves regeneration and conservation of forest through involvement of village communities in association with the State Forest Department. It involves a contract specifying the distribution of authority, responsibility, and benefits between villages and state forest departments with respect to land allocated for joint management. The objectives of JFM are to allocate active participation of villagers in creation, management, and protection of plantations, to achieve ecological needs consonant with sustainable productivity of wood and other non-timber forest resources. Important aspect in forest management system. Structural representation of JFM. Forest management work between local authority, local resident and various forest policies. It is beneficial for two corresponding states when these states apply JFM policy. They both are tied up in a relationship. It is a beneficial for states' growth. It is a triangular approach. Now, role of community for the protection of forests and wildlife resources. Chipko movement. Introduction to Chipko movement. It is primarily a forest conservation movement. It is created presented for non-violent protests started in India. It inspired many eco groups by helping slow down rapid deforestation. It stirred up the civil society in India to address the issue of tribal people. It is seen as an ecofeminism movement. In 1987, it was awarded as a Right Livelihood Award. The main aim of this Chipko movement was to protect the reckless falling of trees. Success of Chipko movement. The movement has spread to many states in the country. It stopped felling of trees in the Western Ghats and the Vindhyas. More than 1 lakh trees have been saved from excavation. By 1981, over 1 million trees had been planted through their efforts. Conservation initiative taken at international level. Firstly, I want to talk about Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna, which is CITES. It is an international agreement between governments aimed at ensuring that international trade in wild species does not interfere with their survival. Regulations permit certifications issued agreed upon in 1973 by 80 countries called parties and in 1975 took effect. Parties who joined CITES voluntarily agreed to be bound to the convention. Today there are 169 parties. Secondly, Ramsar Convention on Wetlands. Ramsar Convention of Wetland. It was adopted on 2nd February 1971, first of the modern intergovernmental environmental agreements. The mission of this Ramsar Convention on Wetlands was the conservation and wise use of wetlands through national actions and international cooperation as a contribution towards achieving three sustainable developments. Three pillars of Ramsar Convention: wise use of all wetlands, designation of priority wetlands as a wetlands of international importance, international cooperation for shared wetlands and their resources including transboundary sites. Third is UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It is an international environmental treaty negotiated at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, informally known as the Earth Summit, held in Rio de Janeiro from June 3 to 14, 1992. The objective of the treaty is to stabilize greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere at a level that would prevent dangerous anthropogenic interferences with the climate system. The International Convention for the Regulation of Whaling, which was held in Washington in 1946. The International Whaling Commission was set up after the International Convention for the Regulation Whaling was signed, which was done in Washington, D.C. on the 2nd of December 1946. The purpose of the convention is to provide for the proper conservation of whale stocks and making it possible to continue development of the whaling industry. Now, at last, I want to conclude my presentation with a famous quote of Mahatma Gandhi. What we are doing to the forests of the world is but a mirror reflection of what we are doing to ourselves and to one another. So, we should not overexploit our natural resources. We should use it wisely so that it will be available for today and tomorrow also. Now, I want to thank my geography teacher, Miss Seema, for giving us this golden opportunity for speaking on this useful topic. Thank you.